necessarily those of the management or ownership of KSTP AM 1500 ESPN.
The following is a presentation of Cover Your Assets and is offered by Rooker Financial Coaching and Consulting. You're trying to build your income, your business, your life. Challenges are all around you. It seems so overwhelming. People are depending on you. Who do you listen to? Where can you go to find honest, useful information?
Todd Rooker.
For decades, Todd Rooker has been teaching professional education to attorneys, CPAs, bankers, and financial advisors. Rooker Financial Consulting offers advice and coaching to consumers, business owners, and financial professionals on every topic imaginable. If you truly want to succeed, sit back and find out how to cover and build your assets. Here's nationally renowned speaker and expert getting you on the path to financial strength and wealth, Todd Rooker.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show, Cover Your Assets. This is the last Saturday of the month, and as always, it is Village Bank Radio. We are joined, fortunately, by Bank President Alicia Webb, exposing and explaining what it's like to build a bank, deal with customers, and the banking side of maybe your business. A lot of businesses need loans, need financing, but they don't truly understand the other side of the table and why they do or don't qualify for loans, how they're being looked at, how they're being perceived, and also how to make themselves more attractive. Working with a banker, there's a term, a banker, who can help you weed through these challenges and literally having a relationship. Village Bank is a relationship bank. They work very differently than the bigger banks. And when you're in business, certainly a small and mid-sized business, that is infinitely valuable. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic that, frankly, I have spent time talking with my clients about because it is such a pinnacle issue. Very pivotal, maybe, is a better word. And that is building a culture. Why is company culture so important to business success and growth? Because it really is. And this is a topic that I've actually waited for some time. So, Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for having me today, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
And election season, right?
Yes.
We'll be careful there.
Yeah, we will be. We'll stay away from that. So the reality is that you deal with this very thing in building your culture in your bank. So you're going to have a lot to say about this. But Alicia, I'll tell you this. I start with the owner of the. I always believe that it rolls downhill, and if you want to engender certain specifics within your company, you have to live that as well. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about our 5 village values all the time at Village Bank, and even on this show, we've talked a lot around our 5 village values, and I think that it is so important that everyone, top, cross org chart down, everyone is living those village values. Even though as presidents, owners, board members, et cetera, we might not like to say, oh, well, I'm always in the spotlight or people are always watching. They are always watching. They're always watching to see how are we going to treat clients? How often are we going to react? How do we react when there's a difficult decision? Are we putting our villagers and our community and our entrepreneurs first? Are we, looking to ourselves first? Are we selfish? Are we self-confident? Those are such big, important pieces. I think about even social media. And how do we show up on social media? Are we displaying our village values, or are we, talking about our new shoes or something great that we did with our family? What are we putting important? And culture goes, we'd love to say it's only 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, but honestly, culture is everywhere. And the way you live your life as a leader, people are watching, and it has a lot to do with the culture of your company.
Well, so listen, folks, I'm going to read this to you because I think it's important, and it is about a culture thing. Village Bank is a community bank for entrepreneurs, built by an entrepreneur. There's a sense of culture there. As a community bank, Village Bank strives to nurture an internal village where employees feel they belong and are valued. The team at Village Bank is very familiar with the important role culture plays in the success of a business. Today, we'll share some insights on culture building that we think can improve your bottom line or improve the growth and scale of your business. That's my throwing that in there. So, as a tagline, as a commercial for Village Bank, right off the bat, you're making the point about what your culture is about. So for you, as I hear that or listen to my own words saying that, it's a village. It's a village. So what does that mean? What does that mean, and how do you input that into your daily work to try to bring that out in other people?
Absolutely. So I think one way that we do that is there's a lot of transparency in our culture, meaning that we say what our 5 village values are, and we reward on those 5 village values. We hire on those 5 village values. We reprimand on those 5 village values. And the expectation is that we're always talking about how a solution, an issue, an opportunity is about putting relationships first. It's about earning it or owning it or building something special and always doing the right thing. I think that if we put our village values first, we're going to help drive employee engagement. We're going to help drive entrepreneurs to our bank because they know what to expect. It's not going to be a surprise. And I think that I can say these words, Todd, all day long, but how do I actually show up Monday morning and do that? This afternoon we're going to go do a Veterans Day exercise, and where we're donating food, time, supplies, etc. to some veterans. I mean, that is built around what our village values are. Like, I'm not just living my life Monday through Friday there, but I'm actually saying, okay, and this is actually how I spend my time. That's what's really, really important to me. And so I see every one of our villagers doing that. And more importantly, I see our entrepreneurs doing that. And that's why we know when we're talking about that experience at Village Bank, it coincides, whether it's our team or whether it's our clients. They always coincide with our 5 village values.
So it sounds like when you say you've got these things that you keep coming back to, that you reprimand, you build on, you enhance, one of the other things that I found is if you want your team to go in a particular direction, you want to actually be actually on the hunt, looking for when people are doing the things that you're looking for them to do, that you always make sure and make a point of that, that you are always looking to compliment them on doing the things that are in the direction that you're looking for. But you've got to continually be coming back to those things over and over again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And I think perception is reality. It's not just, again, it's not just saying it. It's how do you actually live out those values? And I've found oftentimes that if we're not sitting down, especially as leaders of companies, and listening, because remember, in our heads, we know it, like we feel like we know what's going on. We know what the opportunities out in the market are. We know maybe, what our next product line, what's changing with competitors, who we might be hiring. We know all these like little tidbits out there about the future, about the vision of the company. I found it really helpful recently to be sitting down with folks that are leading lines of business and leading at the company and hearing what their perspective is, and just as hard as it is sometimes, especially for me, I will throw that out there just to listen. Even when I think, but you don't know that, or, but this is actually happening. Just sitting back and listening, because perception is reality. Perception of what our village values are is reality. And that's why as a leader and understanding how important that culture is, we used to say it's an intangible, not anymore with turnover. It's very tangible how expensive and important culture is, right? How do we sit back and listen and hear what the perception of our values are, hear what the perception of culture is, and then say, all right, what's on me? What's on us for that? And how do we start to change that, right? Because it's not just saying we put relationships first, but what does that actually mean? When we put relationships first, are we loyal? Are we relational? Do we listen? It's all of those things. So starting to define it and actually do it is very, very important.
When you bring another person into your organization, folks, remember that a culture is a bit like an individual. It's a fingerprint that is unique to the world and different from every other. But then with each new person that you bring in, you affect and change that culture. And whether or not the new person embraces the culture that they're being immersed into, or if they're a reluctant participant who just is a bit of a contrarian and goes the opposite direction, that has a direct a corresponding effect on every single person in there. So when you're hiring people, you have to be so mindful of that, and you have to find people who are willing to be a part of a team as opposed to not embracing that culture and creating havoc within your organization. And that's challenging.
It is, and it's oftentimes egg on your face, right? And as a leader, I feel it's taken it for the team. I mean, I've made wonderful hires at Village Bank. I would say some of the best villagers, some of the best bankers in the market, community talent that is just, I mean, and when I say community talent, yep, my bankers, they know income statements, balance sheets, they can figure out debt service coverage, blah, 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 all the great banking terms that you and I talk about all the time and are so important business owners. I want to be careful when I say this, but at the end of the day, more importantly than anything, they care about the community. They care about the entrepreneurs. They're not willing to walk into the office, shut the door and say, we need to talk. This is what this entrepreneur needs right now, and here's all the reasons why. I am so fortunate, and I'm very blessed to work with these villagers. On the other hand, I have made some hires that, I regret, and that maybe iterated our culture in a way that I didn't want it to. It wasn't respectful nor responsible to our village values. And as a new president of about 5 years now, I will say that I look back and I'm like, wow, I could have and should have done that differently. And I think that it's so important to say that out loud. Gosh, even on this that's being recorded makes me a little nervous. But quite frankly, being able to talk to your team about that and say what you've learned and say what you wish you could have done differently and hear their feedback is really important. It gives them an honest landscape and an honest platform to be able to talk to, and I think that's really important because the one thing I have learned, and I'm still learning, and I don't have this right, Todd, but I think leaders need to think about this. Like, I think Don started Village Bank almost 30 years ago, 30 years in January, and that's what the bank started as. Every single person since has iterated culture just slightly, whether they've been there 30 years like him or they've been there, 30 days. They're all iterating culture just slightly. What a big responsibility that is, right? To make sure that we're always putting those 5 village values first. We're always hiring people that understand the importance of supporting entrepreneurs in our community first, right? Like number one rule, that's first. And that's a big responsibility. So it's important to have these conversations in all the ways we've done it right. It's also important to have those conversations and all the things we wish we would have done a little differently. Because, I mean, that's a big deal to continue to hire villagers.
When you think about the business, folks, that you may be in, and the experience that the person on the other side of the table is, as Alicia explains how their perception of their culture, you can contrast that against the big banks who have, in my mind, a completely different way of doing business. It's not the small community. We understand you. We know you. You know us. We know you. And we're here for you. It is if you think about a banking culture, it's, at least to me, it's always been this standoffish. We've got the dough. You don't. Shut up and do what we tell you to do. And if you're not what we want, then move on. And that's when Alicia talks about villagers, it's a contrast to that. It's an absolute contrast to that. So when you think about building your business and your culture, how might you build a culture that would be akin to that would be similar, respectful, would be embraced by your customers? And then how do you go on as you grow to continue that vision and that goal? Because as you've just said, Alicia, it changes with every new person that comes in. And that, wow, is that a responsibility, especially in an environment where, God, Lord, it's hard to hire people at all. It's hard to find anybody.
And think about folks that were starting, companies, banks going into the workforce 30 years ago. They wanted to perhaps stay for 10, 15, 20 years somewhere. Today, not always the case. And so even the culture being used to that, the culture being respectful of that, it's tough. And, we're a bank. We're in the banking industry. Make no doubt about it. We are a business. Just like anyone listening to the show, just like you, Todd, we are a business. And so we have to figure out how we continue to be a business in the line of business that we're doing, just like you and just like the listeners today. I think that's the piece that, maybe banks back in the day could, I'm a banker, I'm a bank president. No, we're a business just like anyone else. And like the lumber shop down the road, you deliver some lumber and no one pays you, you're going to lose some money. Banks are the same way. We lend out a loan, no one pays us back, we're going to lose some money. It's exactly the same thing. So we just got a lot more rules and regulations behind us. We are responsible for the community's deposits. We have to always be able to give access to the community's deposits. They have to have access to those deposits. And so I think that, getting back to that culture piece, Todd, building a strong organizational culture at a bank is just as important as a lumber shop. I just was watching a little episode on Jensen's and Anoka, who's been around forever, clothing store. No different. Same thing. We are all businesses, and we have to build a culture so when folks walk in the door and they're going to trust us with their deposits, trust us to deliver them lumber, or trust us to buy, some clothes on Main Street in Anoka, they know what they're getting when they walk in the door. In our case, it's villagers. In our case, they understand our commitment to the community and our commitment to the local entrepreneur.
So we're going to take our first break here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about what that actually means on a daily basis. What are the specific things, guideposts along the way that Alicia and her team are conscious of? And maybe there'll be some takeaways for you, things that in your business you can think about how you might do similar things. And just taking some time here on the show to think about this. I mean, it's all out there. It's always out there. But, hey, it's Saturday morning. Let's take some time. Let's think about these things. And Alicia can tell us what they do or what they attempt to do on a daily basis. And you can try to consider that in your own life and your own business. We'll be right back. Does your sump pump run constantly? Do you want to ensure that you never have a damp, musty-smelling basement? These issues are caused by water coming off your roof, draining into your basement. Gutters can resolve these problems. William Foss is the owner of Seamless Solutions. He is honest and trustworthy. He is simply the best. If you need gutters or leaf covers, he is the guy to call. You can call him at 612-834-0664 or go to his website, seamlesssolutionsmn.com.
Are you looking for a bank that supports entrepreneurs like you? If you're searching for a bank to grow with you and your business, I would like to welcome you to our village, Village Bank. Hi, I'm Alicia Webb, President and Vice Chair of Village Bank. I'm honored to lead Village Bank, an entrepreneur's bank that was built by an entrepreneur and for entrepreneurs. Starting a business and then maintaining it requires mindset. It's important for business owners to realize that financial statements aren't just for their bankers and accountants. Knowing your numbers will help build the foundation for you and a healthy and successful business. You don't have to be a financial expert nor a banker, but you do need to understand a few key financial documents and metrics to make your business successful. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn or visit us at villagebankonline.com. It takes a village to accomplish your business goals. And be sure to tune in to Cover Your Assets the last Saturday of every month to fill your entrepreneurial cup of ambition and start your Saturday off right with me, Alicia Webb, and our village, Village Bank.
Fix Auto has been the collision repair leader in the Twin Cities for over 40 years. Hi, I'm Matt Feehan, second-generation owner. Our mission at Fix Auto is to provide you with the simplest collision repair experience anywhere. If you're in an accident and you need help, my team is here and ready for you. You can find us on the web at fixautousa.com. That's fixautousa.com. We are Fix Auto, home of the WOW experience.
He can lift a bus straight over his head. He can fly around the world in seconds. And he has the power to regenerate entire limbs.
Okay, so Jason Walgrave isn't actually a superhero. But once you visit his website to find out what he knows about real estate, you may start to think he's superhuman. That's because at jasonwalgrave.com, you'll find absolutely anything you need to know about real estate in the Twin Cities. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your home, check out jasonwalgrave.com, the #1 place for all your real estate questions.
Finding a good banker and CPA are like having a good doctor or mechanic. You cannot fully appreciate the value they represent until you're in a pinch and truly need them. However, that's not the time to go looking for one. Instead, you want to position and strategize well in advance for a favorable outcome. CPA Arliss Cleveland of Arliss Cleveland LTD is the CPA firm you've been looking for. As many of you already know, if you're looking for a great CPA, Arliss Cleveland gets my highest endorsement. Arliss Cleveland LTD has now formed a strategic relationship with Village Bank, conveniently located in the Village Bank building, located at 9298 Central Avenue North, Suite 412, Blaine, Minnesota. You can also find Arliss Cleveland LTD certified public accountants and consultants by going to accountingoffices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639. That contact information again, accounting-offices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639.
You're listening to Cover Your Assets with Todd Rooker.
We are here last Saturday of the month with Alicia Webb from Village Bank. We're talking about culture and how you build a culture that assists in building a strong team. Alicia and I were talking at the break. I mean, one of the things that Alicia brought up is when you communicate through channels such as social media, what your values are and what your culture is that you're trying to create, you attract people who might be in with companies who have a very contrasting viewpoint on that. And it is true that as businesses become large, that culture thing can get away from you. And even in the growth of your own business, whatever that means, when you've got 2 people or 5 people, it's more easily managed, a culture that is. When you get to 50 and 100 and 200, it becomes more and more challenging. But you attract people because they see the way you operate and they see the folks who are working for you, if they're happy, if they're not. But you've also got to listen to what their perception of that culture is, because it might be different than what you think. Mm-hmm. Have you encountered that?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I mean, sometimes some of the easiest ways to learn, I think, is from places that you weren't as successful, because whenever you hear successful stories, you're like, oh, I did this or I did that, and that's like easy. It's like, oh, gosh, I'll never do that. But sometimes sharing things that you haven't done perfectly or you wish you could have done differently is important. And I think especially for listeners, because we've all made mistakes, right? And sometimes those are the easiest ways to learn. So one big piece for me was during COVID, when COVID first happened and being an essential business. We were still open. So think about that. I had our retail team there, and they had to be there because, like I mentioned earlier, the community has to have access to their deposits, their cash. And so we are asking our retail team to be present in the bank during this super scary time for them, because no one knew what it was yet, for all of us. And it was important to be present. So, I was at the bank. A lot of our leaders were at the bank. And I think a big lesson I learned there was being present is culture. Being present. It's not always talking. It's not, lots of times it's just listening. Lots of times it's asking how people are doing, but just being present is culture. And I think that's important for all of us to think about, whether it's our families, whether it's our community, whether it's election time, like I mentioned earlier, whether it's your village. I mean, how can you show up and just be present? Not be the loudest, not always have an opinion, but just sit back and be present for people, whether it's great times or it's really, really difficult times. That's one piece that continuing to work on today as well.
Well, as you say this, I just have a whole bunch of things I think about because, today as we think about COVID, I mean, in fairness, I don't think most people, I'll speak broadly, see COVID as being the horrible thing that we saw it initially. But I mean, when it first came about, it was like the bubonic plague. People were scared to death. And there was a lot of essential businesses, and that meaning that they are essential services that needed to continue to operate even during this period of time, because literally people die. You don't have food, you don't have money. A bank had to operate. Nevertheless, there were a lot of banks that just flat out shut their doors, and people didn't have access to their money, and the ATMs were empty. And so when you have to ask people who work for you, would they have the same fears as the general populace to come to work? It's a bit like they just became a frontline worker, like a police officer or a firefighter or a EMT. And trying to get people to do that and ask them to stand up and be a part of that. That sounds more challenging than you would initially think.
And you would think it is. And I think supporting those villagers was so very important, Todd, because we don't know what's going on in their life. For the average healthy person, yeah, COVID was scary. But think about if you had an underlying disease or you worked or lived with someone that did. We don't know. Think about if you had all your kids at home and your husband's working 9 to 5 too. Who's at home with your kids? Think about where money is at and all the germs on money and who's touching coins and dollars, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's all of those things. But what I will say is our front line, our retail villagers, oh my gosh, talk about putting relationships first. Those ladies and those few good men were up there doing it all. And why? Because we didn't have to explain the why. They just got it. They put relationships first. They would literally talk about a name of a client and say, well, we got to figure this out because I know Todd comes in for cash for his restaurant or his store or his whatever. So we've got to figure out how we're going to get that to him, right? I mean, like, they were so deliberate and focused and caring and kind and gracious during that time. So when I talk about as a president or as a leader or whatever that might be, like sitting back and just being present and letting them do their thing, I mean, that's culture. Because they knew way better than the rest of us did.
I think that when something perceptively challenging to a lot of people happens, people rise to the challenge. And there's something in there as it relates to culture, something that is bigger than themselves that you're trying to create, and people become more as a result of trying to further that initiative. And maybe that's why putting the specific poignant issues that relate to the culture you're trying to create at the fore again and again and again is so important, because it becomes something bigger than the individual, and everybody wants to chip in and further that. And so on the ground, how do you actually do that? How do you accomplish that?
Well, number one was that, being present. I think that's really, really important. Number two is getting to know your villagers and what's important to them individually, right? We can say as a village, our village values are very, very important. That's fine. But what's important to Mike, or what's important to Christy, or what's important to Ted? I mean, what's important to Sushma, right? Like knowing a little bit about them and a little bit about their story and what's really important to them, I think is important to me. Not just, and it's not fake. I mean, it's not just as a president or as a villager. Like, I care about these people. And when you get to know your people, you have a totally different relationship with them and you look at them so differently. So whether really great things are happening and you know you can depend on them, or if there's an issue and you understand who they are so you understand the why behind it, it really, really, really helps manage and grow that culture. I think it also, you can share their stories with others around you, which helps grow culture and helps grow team. And team is so important because none of us can do it on our own. So I get out to all of our villages quarterly and I do village halls, which is super important. I think being able to be out at all the villages and get to know the villagers is important. I also think having some fun is important, and our team will make fun of me sometimes because, I'm like, oh, let's get the deal, let's work, let's get this done. They're like, we got to pause and have some more fun. So for our last employee engagement, we just went out to Fogarty. We're lucky enough to be part of Fogarty Arena, and we went out and we curled. Okay, I am not a curler by naturally, but I will tell you, I had. The team was so awesome. Curling was so fun. I thought you had to push that thing as hard as you could. No, it's strategic and it takes thought and you have to it was awesome. Our team had so much fun curling. I'm like, when are we going to start the villager curling team? But it was just so much fun to go out and everyone cheer each other on. Everyone take on different roles and responsibilities on those teams. The folks that you thought would be great maybe weren't very good. I'm not going to raise my hand there. And then the folks that you thought, I don't know about that. They were amazing at curling, and we divided up amongst different locations and different teams, and it was awesome. And so I think having that opportunity to just get out of the office, not talk shop, everyone curl together at Fogarty Arena, that was wonderful. So get out, have some fun with your team, try something you're not going to be very good at, and just be present.
So building that team, getting people together in a venue like that, the idea was to build more team camaraderie.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Adding a beer to it never hurts, right? In my case, a Diet Coke, but, it never hurts. And again, just you get to know people I talk about villagers all the time, and I want to be real sincere about villagers because they're why I'm at the bank. But how do I know Jeff? How do I know Aaron? How do I know Craig? How do I get to know Nikki outside of the bank as well? And what's really, really important to her, because when we go through episodes like we're coming up on with inflation, rates are going to go up the end of November again, probably another time in December. As we go through these difficult times where our ROI might not be what we want it to be, our ROE might not be what we want it to be, what motivates us as leaders, and I say this so honestly and truthfully, is getting our villagers to where they want to go and knowing I've made a commitment to get them there. And that's why we're going to keep plugging away, even when that return isn't necessarily what we want it to be.
I think folks, one of the things you want to be conscious of as well, and we've covered this already, but I think it's so important, is that you continue to put those things in your language, your conversations, and even in your materials in front of people on an ongoing basis, so that they're always focused on what is the ultimate goal. One of the businesses that I talk about often is Matt Feehan's Fix Auto and the wow experience. And I'll tell you that I've had them work on my vehicles, my son's vehicles, many times. And, it literally, I can feel it when I walk in that these people are working towards that wow experience. And because that is one of their pinnacle issues related to their culture, you can feel it resonating throughout the organization. I'll tell you another story about another business owner that I know who, in one of their company meetings, took one of their one-pager brochures that had their tagline, stood up in the meeting and held it up and said, "This is what we're about." And the point is that to continue to say this is the direction we're going, and to get people buying in moving in that direction. And over time, just like being married, people become a part of that culture and an integrated part of that culture. Let's take another break here. We'll be right back with Village Bank, Alicia Webb. We are talking about how to build your culture to moreover build your brand and build your company. We'll be right back. Considering something exceptional to set your home apart and highlight its curb appeal? How about the rich look of custom copper gutters? Copper gutters are not only beautiful, they also offer timeless durability. William Voss with Gutter Solutions installed my beautiful copper gutters. I get compliments every day. If you're looking for extraordinary craftsmanship and would like to consider something truly special, call him at 612-834-0664 or go to their website, seamlesssolutions.mn.com. Ask for Billy. I have trusted attorney Brian Aho for more than 10 years to work closely with me to resolve and eliminate debt for many of my personal and business clients. Aho Law Office is the go-to firm I choose because Brian has always been caring and compassionate with my clients, while tenaciously fighting to retain as much of their assets as possible while quickly eliminating their debt. Brian's extensive experience and knowledge of bankruptcy law and willingness to fight allow him to resolve challenges and cases that many attorneys won't. Don't let other attorneys learn on your dime. Rely on the experience of Aho Law Office to help you achieve relief from your creditors. Competent, compassionate legal advocates providing the clarity to protect tomorrow. For more information, call Brian and his staff at 612-271-4047 or email Brian directly at brian@aholawoffice.com. Again, that number, 612-271-4047.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Nybo with the Kimberly Nybo Insurance Agency, serving the community for over 27 years. People tend to be most concerned with price. That is, of course, until something goes wrong. Then the only thing they care about is their coverage. My experience enables me to uncover every available discount. I could save you up to 40%, while still offering the proper coverage for the people you care about. Call today for a free review at 763-571-6111 or email me at kim@kimnybo.com.
Hi, this is Troy Danner of Danner's Cabinet Shop. My family has been building custom cabinets and countertops for homes in Minnesota for over 50 years. We still make the cabinets the way my grandpa did when he founded our company. My team of skilled craftsmen pride themselves on attention to detail and making sure every element of your project goes perfectly. Give me a call at 763-753-4002 or visit us online at dannerscabinets.com.
Mike Overson here of Minnesota Home Talk. With today's housing market, buying a house is a competition. To win in a multiple offer situation, you have to work with a local lender who has the reputation of being 100% reliable. Come to the winning team. Get pre-approved for your loan by one of the top lenders in the nation, the Mike Overson Mortgage Team at Luminate Home Loans. We will help you win. Call me at 612-202-8321. That's Mike Overson at 612-202-8321 or go to applywithmike.com.
Todd Rooker here to tell you about the most amazing jewelry store, Golden Treasures on 805 Grand Avenue in St. Paul. I've known the owner, Todd Gimble, for almost 20 years now, and at Golden Treasures, not only do you get more for less, it's the experience that you and your special person will feel when you walk in the door. Todd truly puts his heart and soul into creating your experience regardless of how much money you spend. This is Todd's customer for life philosophy. Take it from me, there really is no other jewelry store. You can't go wrong with Golden Treasures in St. Paul. 651-227-2711. That's 651-227-2711. Finding a good banker and CPA are like having a good doctor or mechanic. You cannot fully appreciate the value they represent until you're in a pinch and truly need them. However, that's not the time to go looking for one. Instead, you want to position and strategize well in advance for a favorable outcome. CPA Arliss Cleveland of Arliss Cleveland LTD is the CPA firm you've been looking for. As many of you already know, if you're looking for a great CPA, Arliss Cleveland gets my highest endorsement. Arliss Cleveland LTD has now formed a strategic relationship with Village Bank, conveniently located in the Village Bank building, located at 9298 Central Avenue North, Suite 412, Blaine, Minnesota. You can also find Arliss Cleveland LTD certified public accountants and consultants by going to accountingoffices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639. That contact information again, accounting-offices.net or by simply calling 763-786-0639.
You're listening to Cover Your Assets with Todd Rooker.
Welcome back, everybody. So, it is the takeaways for you are important, and so I'm I'm going to ask some questions of Alicia, and I want you to think about how it might relate to your own situation in the company you work for or in the company that you run or own or manage, and how you might be able to implement some of these things. So, first question, Alicia, how regularly do you communicate with your employees the direction, and how do you go about doing that?
Oh boy, I feel like this is a trick question. They would say she communicates too much. Just kidding. Well, maybe not for some of them. So I mentioned quarterly village hall meetings, going out and face-to-face with each one of our villagers, I think is super important. Being able to be present. If someone needs something, they know they can reach out to me. Anytime, all the time. I'm a big component of, if we're going to complain about someone, let's get them in the room and all complain together. But I think that very, very, texting, emailing, calling, face-to-face, client visits all the time, very important. I do think it's also in meetings, we just had a loan that came through that I was not planning on voting for. I was not in favor of. And Aaron is one of our bankers, and he brought the loan through. It's an industry I kind of get a little nervous of. And he explained to me why it's a community business. It's been around for a long time. It's going from one community owner to another community owner, another new local entrepreneur, and why we should do the loan, how we're mitigating it through SBA financing. And guess what? Voted for it. He mitigated all the issues for me, and actually used our village values for one of them, which I really appreciated. Later in the day, he stopped me and said, by the way, I went to them with this. It's done. We're moving forward. And those are the types of things that it's like, high five him. Tell him what a great job he did, because he did. Let's be frank, he did a better job than I would have done. He got us all there, and I really appreciated that. And so communicating those messages on a kind of a random at the end of the day, high five, want you to know this got done, and it literally was a high five. We were in the same office that day, is just as important as, your weekly loan meeting, your quarterly village hall, but just having your door open and being present enough for a team to tell you, hey, I got that done. It's awesome. We're moving forward. Really, really appreciate that.
I can see a couple things from what you said. I can see you initially saying, no, this is not a go. But then his passion, bringing this up, and then recognizing that what he was doing right before your eyes was in keeping with the whole concept of being a villager and the culture that you wanted to engender. And all of a sudden you went, whoa, this guy is owning this thing. He's taking it, and this is what we want. And it completely changed your perception, and it was his idea, and he did it, and that's an empowering thing to further the culture in the direction you want to go, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about if we all had all yes men and women or all no men and women. I mean, part of, I think, and I'm trying to get better at this, I don't want to sound like I'm an expert at all, is, as going into those meetings and having our ears wide open, knowing that there's something for us to learn. Our decisions might not change, but guess what? Maybe they will, like they did last Tuesday. And so it was important to go in with ears wide open and listen to what Aaron has to say and hear him and say, guess what? I might not have been right, and you're right. Let's go.
Actually hearing things is an interesting concept in and of itself, because so often we make a decision mentally, and all we do is look for things to reinforce the decision we've already made, and we're really not listening, or we're not hearing what's being said. So that as a leader, folks, that's an impressive thing, and it's not easy, but we all have to work on it.
And it's trusting the folks that you have. If you have a bright, shining star and you're not willing to listen and trust, why? I think it's looking in the mirror too, because there are times that, we do have to say no, but I think there's times where we have to say, how do we get to yes?
Very good. Do folks on your team understand what's expected of them and feel they have a role to play in the company's success?
I think so. I hope so, right? I can give a definite yes. But I think it's more of I hope so, and I want them to. Our team is I think getting much better at saying this is why we're here and this is how we all play a role in it. But you mentioned before, we're real good at putting down our village values and sharing them on social media and all that good stuff. I think it's more so how are we having these eyeball conversations and talking about our village values and sharing this is the why and this is what I need from you to make this community project successful or this entrepreneur successful. And that's what we're getting better at.
This next one is one that I know you do a lot of, but I'll surely have something to say about it. When was the last time you reached out to an employee to personally thank them for their contributions?
Well, yesterday. Just yesterday I did. Yes, yesterday I reached out to someone and thanked her so much for supporting me while I was out sick a couple days. And also reached out to one of our bankers and thanked him for what a great job he's been doing with a client that reached out to me yesterday too and said, didn't really want to work with this kid, but he's doing a great job. And I'm like, well, he's not a kid. And of course he's doing a great job. He cares so much about you. And so, I just, our village, you can't do anything without a village. And our villagers are doing such a good job. I feel like I got to thank them every day for just, supporting the community through rates going up and through, eggs going up and gas going up. I mean, this is a difficult time. And this is a time when it's not just about renewing a loan. It's not just about starting a business. It's about being able to afford your mortgage. It's about being able to afford to heat your house and all that stuff. And they want to talk to their bankers right now. And our bankers are doing a wonderful job at communicating.
I think this falls right in line, folks, with the point that you're searching for opportunities to find people to complement in the direction that you want to further in your culture and in your language to your customers. You're looking for those opportunities, and when people whom are a part of the team do the things that you're looking for, don't miss it. Take that opportunity to acknowledge it and compliment it, and even in front of other people to further that perception. We're going to take another break. We'll be right back with Village Bank President Alicia Webb talking about culture to build and help you succeed in your business. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'd like to talk with you about financial coaching. Traditional financial planners help you make decisions about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds with money you already have. That's great, but who helps you accumulate more money in the first place? Who helps you make day-by-day life decisions? Who isn't trying to sell you something? Like, should I go back to school? Am I wasting money on insurance? How to purchase and finance a car, boat, home, lake cabin, or investment property? How to start, manage, and sell a business? It's about making minor errors that become colossal mistakes and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. The problem is that you're so busy pursuing your career that you're forced to make critical financial decisions that have a dramatic long-term effect on your finances without adequate research or information. Rooker Financial Coaching is like having a personal CFO for every decision. Don't waste time lamenting the bad decisions of the past or money that's run through your fingertips. Stop procrastinating. Call Rooker Financial Coaching, 763-559-3800. That's 763-559-3800. Call me today, Todd Rooker, 763-559-3800. That's 763-559-3800.
I have trusted attorney Brian Aho for more than 10 years to work closely with me to resolve and eliminate debt for many of my personal and business clients. Aho Law Office is the go-to firm I choose because Brian has always been caring and compassionate with my clients, while tenaciously fighting to retain as much of their assets as possible while quickly eliminating their debt. Brian's extensive experience and knowledge of bankruptcy law and willingness to fight allow him to resolve challenges and cases that many attorneys won't. Don't let other attorneys learn on your dime. Rely on the experience of Aho Law Office to help you achieve relief from your creditors. Competent, compassionate legal advocates providing the clarity to protect tomorrow. For more information, call Brian and his staff at 612-271-4047 or email Brian directly at brian@aholawoffice.com. Again, that number, 612-271-4047.
Todd Rooker here to tell you about the most amazing jewelry store, Golden Treasures on 805 Grand Avenue in St. Paul. I've known the owner, Todd Gimble, for almost 20 years now, and at Golden Treasures, not only do you get more for less, it's the experience that you and your special person will feel when you walk in the door. Todd truly puts his heart and soul into creating your experience regardless of how much money you spend. This is Todd's customer for life philosophy. Take it from me, there really is no other jewelry store. You can't go wrong with Golden Treasures in St. Paul. 651-227-2711. That's 651-227-2711.
Are you looking for a bank that supports entrepreneurs like you? If you're searching for a bank to grow with you and your business, I would like to welcome you to our Village Bank. Hi, I'm Alicia Webb, President and Vice Chair of Village Bank. I'm honored to lead Village Bank, an entrepreneur's bank that was built by an entrepreneur and for entrepreneurs. Starting a business and then maintaining it requires mindset. It's important for business owners to realize that financial statements aren't just for their bankers and accountants. Knowing your numbers will help build the foundation for you and a healthy and successful business. You don't have to be a financial expert nor a banker, but you do need to understand a few key financial documents and metrics to make your business successful. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn or visit us at villagebankonline.com. It takes a village to accomplish your business goals. And be sure to tune in to Cover Your Assets the last Saturday of every month to fill your entrepreneurial cup of ambition and start your Saturday off right with me, Alicia Webb, and our village, Village Bank.
Fix Auto has been the collision repair leader in the Twin Cities for over 40 years. Hi, I'm Matt Feehan, second-generation owner. Our mission at Fix Auto is to provide you with the simplest collision repair experience anywhere. If you're in an accident and you need help, my team is here and ready for you. You can find us on the web at fixautousa.com. That's fixautousa.com. We are Fix Auto, home of the WOW experience.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Nybo with the Kimberly Nybo Insurance Agency, serving the community for over 27 years. People tend to be most concerned with price. That is, of course, until something goes wrong. Then the only thing they care about is their coverage. My experience enables me to uncover every available discount. I could save you up to 40%, while still offering the proper coverage for the people you care about. Call today for a free review at 763-571-6111 or email me at kim@kimnybo.com.
You're listening to Cover Your Assets with Todd Rooker.
Love it.
Dolly
Welcome
always
back,
makes me
everybody.
want to get on the treadmill. I just love that. That is so fun. Thank you.
That's Evan for us. I appreciate that, Evan. So, do you, those of you listening, do you have a trusted banker? Do you have professionals that you can turn to help support and advocate for you, and also to help you continue in the path that you have determined to be your direction? So I'm going to ask that of you, Alicia. Do you have folks who can advocate, other professionals who can advocate and help you further your culture?
Yes, we do. I mean, we've been preaching on this show for a long, long time about finding those trusted bankers and building those trusted relationships with accountants and financial advisors and their current banker. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, rates are going up. Times are getting a little bit more sticky than they used to be. And now is a time when you need someone like Aaron that I mentioned, pounding their fist on the table for you and talking about, debt service coverage might not have been what it's been the last couple years, but this is where they're going. This is the management plan. This is how they're going to get there. And I think that is so important that you have those trusted advocates. I mean, this week, Craig and I are having lunch with Arliss. We're making sure that we're getting with our trusted advisors, accountants, and saying, this is what we're seeing. This is what's going on. How are you seeing it? What are you thinking about? How can we work together? And so make sure you build those relationships amongst peers, amongst COIs, centers of influence, amongst your banker, your accountant, your attorney, anyone else that you have on your team.
Again, I've always got these takeaways. So do you think that person who Aaron was advocating for, do you think they know how hard he fought to try to get their loan through?
I love that you asked me that question, because what we'll do in those situations is Aaron is a modest young man, and so we'll make sure that his client knows that thank you for mentioning that, because that's always one of those things that as a leader, you have an opportunity to walk in the room during a closing, during a customer meeting, whatever that might be, and say, hey, I want you to know this guy's your fan and he's helping you out. So thank you for mentioning that. That's a big deal.
It is a big deal. So you were telling a story, and I know we're going to have to wrap up. We don't have a lot of time here, but you were telling a story which I thought was very good, and it was about my inference of turning lemons into lemonade. Why don't you talk a little bit about about that one with your daughter. I thought that was great.
So this just tells you, I got to have a great spouse, right? So yesterday, everyone's talking about the economy right now. It's hot. Tough times. Rates are going up. Yesterday, our children are blessed to be at Legacy Christian Academy, and yesterday was Grandparents' Day. So our little kindergartner, Rory, was so nervous about Grandparents' Day and all the people she was going to have to sing in front of, people she doesn't know, fourth graders, very, very nervous, and her tummy was hurting. And my husband, Kevin, he's such a great dad, on the way to school, he said, "Hey, Roar, do you know that nervousness is just the opposite of excitement? So when you feel that little rumble in your tummy, I want you to flip it, and let's say it's excitement. You're going to get to go do this. So if you're nervous, flip it, and let's be excited and sing, sing, sing." And it was so sweet because he told me this, and Rory got home, and the first thing she said to me is, "Mom, I flipped it, and I was excited." And then Nina was talking about, "I flipped it." And I thought to myself, you know what? Wow, if a 5 and an 8-year-old can do this, as entrepreneurs and bankers, we all need to think about this. Yes, we're concerned. Yes, we're nervous. Let's get our ducks in a row, but let's flip it. We all know what's coming. Let's flip it and be excited about the opportunity, Todd. We all have heard the stories. Tough economies, toughness is when opportunities come out of the woodwork.
Amen.
Take
Amen.
them. So, thank gosh Kev was thinking like this, because if a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old can do this at Legacy, I know as entrepreneurs and bankers, we can flip it and get excited about where that opportunity is.
Hey, make
forward.
no mistake, folks. I'll probably say this for as long as things continue to be tough. These are the times that you wait for to be able to have opportunity. There is not as much. There is more opportunity in situations like this, and you need to look around and take advantage of them. Prepare. You bet.
Yes.
Alicia, thank you so much for being on the show. Hey,
thanks, Todd.
Hey, build your culture, stand on it, make it happen, and succeed. All about success. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
I'd like to talk with you about financial coaching. Traditional financial planners help you make decisions about stocks, bonds, and mutual funds with money you already have. That's great, but who helps you accumulate more money in the first place? Who helps you make day-by-day life decisions? Who isn't trying to sell you something? Like, should I go back to school? Am I wasting money on insurance? How to purchase and finance a car, boat, home, lake cabin, or investment property? How to start, manage, and sell a business? It's about making minor errors that become colossal mistakes and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. The problem is that you're so busy pursuing your career that you're forced to make critical financial decisions that have a dramatic long-term effect on your finances without adequate research or information. Rooker Financial Coaching is like having a personal CFO for every decision. Don't waste time lamenting the bad decisions of the past or money that's run through your fingertips. Stop procrastinating. Call Rooker Financial Coaching, 763-559-3800. That's 763-559-3800. Call me today, Todd Rooker, 763-559-3800. That's 763-559-3800.
This has been a paid program. The views expressed were not necessarily those of the management or ownership of KSTP-AM 1500 ESPN. You're listening to 1500 ESPN on KSTP-AM 1500 and 94.5 HD2 Minneapolis, St. Paul.